Hello everyone and welcome back to the Zach F1 channel, and in today's episode I'm going to be going over my favourite driver lineups for each team, and I'm going to be giving an easy rank system of 10th to 1st. Simple as that. If you like the video, like and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. So 10th place on the list. And normally this is one of the harder ones to pick because all of the F1 drivers, I mean, some aren't as good as others, some are subpar. Most of the time they're all pretty decent, so you're always going to have at least one good driver on a team. So it makes it hard to pick the 10th position, but this time for me, 10th place has to go to Haas. Now again, are both of their drivers of Esteban Ocon and Ollie Bearman dreadful? No, it's just neither of them are any special just yet. Esteban Ocon, we saw at Alpine, he got outclassed by Pierre Gasly. Ocon, he's not really respected that much in the world of F1. Now, for me, I actually think he's better than some people give him credit for. I think a lot of people think he's terrible. He's not bad, he's just not great either. He never really lived up to that Mercedes potential. So he was never really a superstar driver, which you sort of need at least one lead driver going into an F1 season, and I don't think that's Esteban Ocon. And then you also have Ollie Bearman. It's hard to put into words exactly what he's going to be like because he's a rookie. There's too many unknowns when it comes to F1 with rookies. Now, I know he's had time with Ferrari and Haas last season in 2024, but like we saw with Colapinto, it's the same sort of thing where, yeah, Bearman had two good races for Haas and Ferrari, but it could unravel under a full season. We saw with Colapinto, he had a great start to the season when he got introduced, and then it sort of crumbled a little bit to the end, and that could easily happen to another rookie like Bearman, as their confidence is never going to be sky high just going into F1. They need to get a few good results under their belts and show everyone what they're made of. So at the end of the day, Haas has to go to 10th. It's just not the best lineup I've seen Haas have, and it's definitely a short-term downgrade from Hülkenberg and Magnussen. However, over the long term, especially Bearman, if he proves to be good, long-term plan looks pretty decent for Haas. Now, going into 9th, and I have got the Racing Bulls of Tsunoda and Hadjar. Now, straight off the bat, we'll talk about Hadjar. He did brilliantly in F2, thoroughly deserved an F1 seat, but he's got the same issue as all of the rookies will have on this list. They are rookies. There's so much unknown. We haven't seen any of them for a full season over F1, so we don't know exactly what they're going to be like. So a team always with a rookie is never going to be highly ranked for me. And then you have Yuki Tsunoda. Now, for me, Yuki Tsunoda's in a similar situation to Esteban Ocon. However, I just think he's slightly better, because Yuki Tsunoda by no means is a superstar driver, but a good middle ground driver. He's definitely the one who should have gone into that Red Bull seat. So he's got to be doing something right. He's consistent, which is what you need in a lower end team. And he's going to be revving to show everyone what he can do after losing out on that Red Bull seat. Because basically, he's got to find another team now. Red Bull aren't really going to promote him unless Lawson is absolutely dreadful. However, I could easily see a situation where Hadjar does really well in the first part of the season, and they put Hadjar on that Red Bull and they do this whole cycle again. But we'll wait to see what happens. That's why Racing Bulls are in 9th. Now, this one is a little bit difficult for me to decide. I think 7th and 8th were the first big obstacles I had when putting up this whole ranking system, because Hülkenberg and Bortoleto is an interesting lineup. Again, I'll get through the rookie sort of stuff. It's the exact same stuff that we've just talked about with Bearman and Hadjar. We don't know what Bortoleto is going to be like. However, he was brilliant in F2, so you can assume that he's at least going to be pretty decent in F1. However, we saw Nick De Vries, people like this, they can show promise in other categories of motorsport. Coming to F1, it doesn't work out. I mean, even Logan Sargent was pretty decent in F2. Didn't work out for him in F1. So we'll have to keep posted. I'm looking optimistic for Bortoleto. It also helps Sauber a little bit. But the main man is Nico Hülkenberg. And I think this is the first team on the list who has a fully set, very confident F1 driver. Nico Hülkenberg is a leader. He's got so much experience. He's coming into a team after the new regulations will be Audi. So he's the German name for the German team. The stars align for Nico Hülkenberg. And yes, Nico Hülkenberg won't give you some crazy results. Like Esteban Ocon, for instance, he could potentially get you a win like we saw in Hungary in a crazy race. Hülkenberg isn't this sort of driver. He's never had a win, he's never had a podium, but he is consistent. And like I said, consistency is what you need at those lower end teams because you constantly need to get the low end of the points. Hulkenberg's been doing this for donkeys in his career. He is the midfield team guru. If you're the likes of Sauber, Williams, Haas, Alpine, all of these teams, Hulkenberg would fit into and perform well at. And as you can see, that is Alpine. Now, same situation as before. Doohan, rookie coming in. We don't know too much about him, so it doesn't really weigh too much on the driver lineup. So you could sort of say, right now, from 7th to 10th, it's all about my ranking of the number one driver who I think's the best. So it's basically Ocon the worst, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, and then Gasly. We could be surprised by Doohan, but the other thing Alpine have as well, which really helps, and I know this doesn't really involve the driver lineup, but if we go over to the reserves, if Doohan really doesn't impress, we've got Colapinto, who showed he can work in an F1 car, ready to take his place. That sort of weighs on my mind a little bit, and that's why they get that little kick over Sauber. Because the Gasly versus Hulkenberg is such an interesting debate. Hulkenberg, consistent, more experience. However, Gasly, he can put in those great performances, and he's still pretty consistent when he's given the car. We saw at the end of last season how brilliant he could be. I even put him in my other video as the most impressive midfield driver. So for me, Pierre Gasly is one of those number one drivers that sticks out and you're like, okay, he's very good in that car. And that really helps Alpine get up to 7th in this list. Doohan, not so much. He's sort of just a grey area for now. We don't really know where he's going to fit. Only time will tell. But Gasly is such a good driver at the minute. He's in such good form. Couldn't put them any lower. And yes, we did see Doohan in Abu Dhabi. However, you can't really classify that as an F1 car. Alpine just gave him the scraps of the season they've had. Such a bad car Ocon had and then got given to Doohan. Now, one step away from the top 5, and in 6th, we actually have for me Mercedes. And Mercedes duo is George Russell and Kimi Antonelli. Again, another rookie. You're seeing a bit of a trend at the minute from 6th to 10th, but Kimi Antonelli, he's been revved up to be the new Verstappen sort of driver coming in. He's still young, he's got a lot of potential, and I want to see what Mercedes are looking at, what data they've seen, because so far in Kimi Antonelli's career, he hasn't blown me away. Now, I still think he could be a good driver, but even out of all of the rookies, I don't think he's the best rookie on the F1 grid coming into 2025. I hope he proves me wrong, because I don't want to prey on his downfall. He's going into Mercedes as well, which is going to be big pressure for a rookie, because they're going to want points, they're going to want podiums, they're going to potentially want wins. They just lost their star man of Lewis Hamilton. They need someone to take his place. They think it might be George Russell. They're hoping Kimi Antonelli can also do that job. Again, too many unknowns with a rookie driver. And I just haven't seen what Kimi Antonelli can give yet. And that's why he doesn't really get Mercedes any higher than 6th. Now, George Russell, he does help out Mercedes. Now, he gets a lot of shit, George Russell, because a lot of people don't actually think he's very good. But there's a few things on the side, of course. He's been a bit silly behind the scenes sometimes. And apparently he can be a bit of a crybaby. But on actual race pace, George Russell is good. There's a reason he obliterated Albon and Norris in F2. It was a while ago, but he was sublime in F2. Went to F1, got a podium with Williams, and at Mercedes, he's been able to go toe-to-toe with Lewis Hamilton most of the time. He's even beaten him 2-1 in the seasons he's been there. So, by no means is George Russell a bad driver, but Mercedes as a whole gets weighed down by Kimi Antonelli being a rookie and being in that team. Aston Martin. Very close with Mercedes, I'll have to give you that. And for me, it's lucky Aston Martin have a driver of such capability like Lance Stroll. Otherwise, they potentially would have been last with this new rookie called Alonso. But in all seriousness, Lance Stroll is such a hinder to Fernando Alonso. The only reason Aston Martin get up to 5th is the champion effect. If you have a team of a nobody and a champion, such as Alonso, Verstappen and Hamilton, those are the big three, that team automatically gets into the top 5. Without a doubt, Fernando Alonso is that good. So Lance Stroll, who knows, he could be even worse than some of the rookies coming in. Not saying the rookies are bad, but they're going to have to get used to the F1 feel. Lance Stroll very much brings back Aston Martin, but it's a good middle ground. You've got the champion of Fernando Alonso very much carrying the team. If any team wanted him, he would replace any of the drivers. It's as simple as that. My oh my, Williams have come in with such a good driver lineup. Now, I did a video last year quite similar to this, where I actually put Williams 7th. I think I was being quite generous with them when I made that video as well. I looked over it before I made this video, and some of the things I said, I don't actually agree with half the stuff I said now, especially the bottom 5 of the list was a bit questionable, I think, now. But Williams, what a boost of their driver lineup. Alex Albon, long-time servant now at Williams. He knows the team in and out. He's consistently getting the most points there. Consistently can pull up some great performances. And I'm going to be a bit like Will Buxton here, stating the obvious. But he's just so good at overtaking and defending, which in F1 is crucial. You know, it gets you past another car or stops the other car from getting past you. And he's done that superbly. He should have won the best overtake of the year at Canada. That was brilliant. And there's been so many occasions in his career where he can form a train behind that Williams and stick it out to get points when that Williams was nowhere near getting points for that race. Brilliant driver. And he's always had a bad teammate. But now he has a big team capable driver, multiple race winner of Carlos Sainz as his teammate. Carlos Sainz should not be at a team anywhere worse than Mercedes. Aston Martin at a push, if it was Alonso and Carlos Sainz, that'd be a pretty cool lineup, but you know, that wouldn't happen. Lance Stroll's in that seat. And to be a driver of that capability at Williams, where they are now, you can't put them lower than that. It's the first duo on this list that are both incredibly good. And Carlos Sainz, a top 10 driver in that team. Albon, debatable. He's very much on the cusp of it, if you don't think he's one of the top 10 drivers in F1 right now. But it's such a good duo. They're going to be doing brilliant stuff for Williams. Even if the car is like 9th or 8th on actual like race pace, you can guarantee that that would get them up to either 7th or 6th in the constructors. Then in 3rd place, we have Red Bull. Well, we'll see exactly what happened, but technically a rookie of Liam Lawson. He's never done a full season with Max Verstappen. Plain old simple, it's sort of similar situation with Aston Martin. If you have a champion like Max Verstappen, he bumps you up incredibly. And also, Liam Lawson ain't too shabby. Do I think he's amazing? I haven't seen anything to show me that he can do that, but we'll see if he can go toe-to-toe with Max Verstappen. But with Max Verstappen in your team, you're always going to be high on my list. And Liam Lawson, he's got a bit of potential. He's got fight in him. I'd like to see what he can do. But 100% 3rd place seems like a fair position for their driver lineup. Like Williams, it's another team with 2 good drivers, and that is McLaren. You've got Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. Lando Norris has finally won a race, and his 1-lap pace is incredible. In qualifying, he was able to out-qualify Max Verstappen quite a few times. It's just a shame he can't do a race start. If he can get that going, he's going to have a brilliant season in 2025. Incredible stuff happened for him in 2024. He was a little bit underprepared for a championship fight, but still definitely a top 10 driver in F1 at the minute. Incredible stuff. He's got still so much potential to show what he can do. And with that McLaren, the sky's the limit. And then you have his brilliant teammate, Oscar Piastri, who no longer is anywhere near a rookie. This is his 3rd season in F1 now. He's got the experience. And I'm hoping to see him go toe-to-toe with Lando Norris throughout the whole of 2025. He's shown moments, he's won races, but it's now time to do the whole season brilliantly. And we've seen with Oscar Piastri, he's very consistent. He doesn't get into too many tangles. I mean, we saw in Abu Dhabi he did, but that wasn't really his fault. He was the only driver for ages in F1 to compete in every single race in F1 and cross the finish line. Outstanding stuff from him. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris, there's no way they weren't getting into the top 2. Incredible. They basically are the team best of the rest. Ferrari. I mean, this had to have been the easiest situation for me. The rank 1 place was never not going to be Ferrari. So McLaren, like I mentioned, 2 top 10 drivers in their driver lineup. And Ferrari for me is take Williams and McLaren situation and just add crack. It's just incredible, their driver lineup. Let's start with Charles Leclerc. Arguably, for me, the 2nd best driver on the grid in 2024. Only lost out to Verstappen. He had an incredible 2024, and this isn't the only season he's done brilliant in. He's had multiple times winning races in a car that shouldn't have won races, almost beat Lando Norris last season for 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship, and got Ferrari into a Constructors' Championship battle with McLaren for the end of the season. Charles Leclerc is the real deal. And then you have his teammate, you know, just the 7-time Drivers' World Champion Lewis Hamilton, the record race wins held by him, and the joint most Drivers' Championships held by him as well. Arguably one of the best F1 drivers to ever grace the sport. Put those two together. I don't even need to convince you why this is in first place. You know exactly why. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, for me, is the best driver pairing we've had in F1 since Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. My God, it's incredible. Rarely in F1 do we get two drivers of such capability in the same team, because a lot of teams always like to have the number one and number two. And this is a rare moment where we are getting such great drivers who are both number one driver potential. I'm so looking forward to see what they do at Ferrari, both of them. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Comment down below, what do you think about my rankings? Do you agree with most of them? Which ones do you not agree with? And also what your rank would look like for the driver lineups for each team. But anyway, as always, thank you all so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Hope you all enjoyed. And I'll see you all later. Bye bye.